How to free yourself from debt and build your wealth? That is a good question. But before answering it, we must understand what is wealth. Often, when we think about someone rich, we tend to think of someone who lives in a big house, who travels in a luxury car, who wears premium clothes, with a flagship phone of the year, and who sleeps in the biggest hotels. Someone who flashes. The thing is that often these kind of people are far from being rich. They are just in debt. We calculate the net worth of someone by summing the total of their assets, what they own, less their liabilities, what they owe. And in many cases, the one who kept its sole phone, who drives an old Toyota, and who lives in a small condo worth much more than the first one I described. So, what means being rich? My definition of it is very simple. It's someone who is free of its time. Someone who have a recurring income that is enough to pay all its expenses, making him someone who can focus doing what he like. This is simply someone who live at a pace of life below what he can afford rather than above. And you don't need to earn six figures to get there. I'm far from there, and yet I'm the owner of one of the most beautiful lofts in my city, which I managed to even well furnished. I drive a car that I finished to pay off 9 years ago, and I find that I really have a very pleasant pace of life. I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm sure I can help you to do the same with a few very simple tips. Today, I just want to highlight few things that you should pay attention to, which will lead you to free yourself from debts and start shaping your wealth by putting money aside so that money works for you rather than you work for it. We will see several points in summary, and I will come back to some of them in more detail future videos. First point, before even putting money aside, you must get rid of your debts. And be careful. There are several types of debt. The mortgage, for example, is the money you owe to your bank to pay off the roof over your head. In general, it's a fairly reasonable rate. You can take your time to pay it. The kind of debt you absolutely need to get rid of very quickly is credit card debt. Often, it's around 20%. Using this is a bit like putting a rope around your neck. 20% in interest means that if you owe $1,000 on your credit card, you will pay $200 per year for your loan. That's about $17 per month per $1,000. When you think about it, that's almost the price of my cell phone subscription. We'll come back on this a bit later. You may have a personal loan that is around 10%, a loan for your car that is around 8%. Repay all those loans as quickly as possible and never buy anything with money you don't have unless it's real estate. When you borrow money from the bank, you have to work to repay a debt that is generated on what you owe each day. Your goal is to do exactly the opposite, to have money that works for you every day without having to do anything. And it's super easy to do. The money that the bank lends you is not their money. The bank borrow money from people like you and I and lend it to people like you and I. Your goal is to be the one who lends it and not the one who borrow it. But before you get there, the first thing you need to do is to get rid of your own debt. And there, I hear you.
But, Pascal, if I borrow money, it's because I don't have any. Where am I supposed to make it appear from?
And I'm so glad you asked the question. The thing is that you already have this money, you just wasted it and you don't even realize it. Here, I'm going to give you a series of things that can save you money, and I'm sure that you will be easily able to apply some of them to your lifestyle. Number 1. Drink water. It's the best drink for your health, and it's free. That's fine if you spend $10 on a coffee, a bottle of wine, a microbrewery beer, a cocktail, or anything that makes you happy. Just don't make it a regular thing. If we just do a calculation of everything you spend on juice, soft drink, energy drink, coffee, alcohol, and anything else you drink, I wouldn't be surprised if you could manage to save at least $5 a day. $5 a day doesn't seem like much, but at the end of the years, that's over $1,800. That's an all-inclusive vacation to the south. That's a good bike. It's my mortgage payment for 7 weeks. And sometime I saw people that could probably save $10,000 a year if they were just starting to drink water. And please don't buy water bottle. You can get free water out of your sink. A Brita filter costs around $30, and a reusable bottle costs around $20. And an Nalgene bottle lasts almost forever. This one I use it for over 10 years. You can afford this little investment. I've just made you save around $2,000 a year. I'll leave you links in the description if you want to invest in those little things that can save you big. Second point, cook. A restaurant, especially with the price increase that we have seen in the recent year, have become nonsense. And again, you have the right to treat yourself. Personally, it made me happy to pay $125 to eat in a good restaurant, which will give me a great time that I will remember for a long time. But paying $25 for a sandwich with the small salads and a cookie, which I could have made at home for a quarter of the price with quality ingredient, is nonsense. Imagine if you just pay yourself a $15 snack at the restaurant next to your work every day when you could have prepared yourself a lunchbox that would have cost $5. That means you save $10 per day you work. That's $50 a week. That's $2,600 a year. And there I don't even count the other restaurants that you visit during the year, or even worse, the Uber Eats and DoorDash of this world. Honestly, that is just stupid. How weak can you be to buy a restaurant meal that is already expensive in the first place, and then inflate the price even more to pay the platform commission, and then add a delivery fee and the tip, not including the taxes on the total, and sometimes a subscription fee, and all that for eating junk? Come on! I don't even understand how it's possible that there are people who order on this. Look, I don't cook much myself, but I eat well, and it doesn't cost me so much. I have a service near my home that prepare meals that cost around $5.50 per portion. All I have to do is to reheat it in the oven. I don't have a microwave. I think it's disgusting. I buy fruit and vegetable to accompany all this or for my snack. Well, yes, I also eat chips and candies. I also have meat, smoked salmon, and shrimp in my freezer. When I don't know what to eat, it doesn't take long to prepare. You just have to remember to take it out of the freezer a few hours before. It's healthy, it's very affordable, and it lasts a long time. Ultimately, you can buy yourself a box of chicken nuggets. You're going to eat the same kind of crap that DoorDash would have delivered to you for a tenth of the price, and the cooking time is no longer than the delivery time. I have ramen soup too. It costs $2, and you can add some vegetable to complete it, and it does the job. But really, be careful of what you eat. I don't understand why there are some people who are willing to pay $30 to have a cold trio delivered from McDonald's when you can just unfroze a smoked salmon at a third of the price. Third point, clothing. And don't worry, I'm not telling you to dress in a thrift store or a surplus store where there are just leftovers of what people don't want. Well, either way, it could be a great way to save money, and I'm sure that you could find very nice stuff. But if you want to buy expensive clothes, I really have nothing against that. I could buy really less expensive pieces, but I have a luxury taste and I like to buy quality. I like performing apparel that are beautiful and that I'm proud to wear. But please, you don't need to renew your wardrobe every season. Unless you are still growing up or you did lose weight, your laundry from the last year should still fit you well. Since I bought clothes that I'm proud to wear, I'm happy to keep it for years until it breaks apart. Once there, it becomes clothing for doing dirty works or it goes to the eco center to be recycled. My boxers cost me $25 each. I bought maybe 20 of them. They are the same one that I have now for about 10 years. They still look like new. They're probably good for another 10 years. I rarely buy new sweaters, only when they are really due. My winter clothes last forever, and I never feel like changing them because I bought quality gear. The only thing that I can change on a more regular basis is my shoes. I walk a lot, so it can wear out very quickly, and the heel of my feet is very important. In short, stop wasting money on clothes if you don't need it. Number 4, avoid cheap product. A mistake that I see too often is that people have their eyes on the price. Instead, look at the cost. For example, and this is really just an example, let's say you need to buy tires for your car. You have the choice between the entry-level tires at $400 or good quality tires at triple of the price, $1,200. Most people will buy the $400 tires because they think it's cheaper. Serious error. Imagine if you could have driven 6 years with the good quality tires and you only did 2 years with the entry-level one. Well, you can tell yourself that it ended up at the same price. But no, because not only you have to pay for one more installation over a period of 6 years, but you also end up with less efficient, noisier, less safe, and more slippery tires. In short, in the long term, you end up with junk that costs you more than the best quality product. It's quite stupid, isn't it? Next time you buy something, remember this saying: I'm not rich enough to buy cheap product. Well, otherwise, here's a roundup of things that I see some people doing that prevents them from getting rich. Change your phone every year for the latest model. This is completely stupid. I use an iPhone 11 Pro Max. I bought it used from someone on Marketplace for $350. It was worth around $1,600 when it came out. I paid a fifth of that price and it does really well the job. Speaking of phones, do you really need the big plan at $17 per month? My phone plan costs $20 tax included. I can talk unlimited in my province. I have almost 1 gigabyte of monthly data. Do you really need internet on your phone? There is Wi-Fi everywhere. And for the rest, you can download the map of Google Maps in your phone. You can do the same with your Spotify playlist. My plan is available at Fizz, and I'll left you a link in the description if you want to take advantage of it. Your price should be slightly higher. I have a special price because I'm one of the company first customer. The link in the description is an invitation link that should reward both of us if you follow it. For your internet connection at home, you may renegotiate your price. Call your internet provider. They are certainly not going to call you to lower your price. Pay attention to your electricity consumption. In summer, when it's sustainable, open your window instead of air conditioning. Fresh air is good. In winter, get dressed before turning on the heating. I may have just 2 walls exposed to the exterior, but my loft is 104 square meter with 4 meters high ceiling, and the electricity is my only source of energy, and my total energy cost is $645 per year for 7,400 kilowatt hour. Take a walk to get around your neighborhood. It's good for your health and it costs less than taking your car or public transportation. Well, if you smoke, I don't need to remind you that it's really expensive. I strongly encourage you to stop. Your physical health will thank you just as much as your financial health. I have a neighbor who recently told me that his pack of cigarettes costs $17 and he smoked one a day. That's over $6,000 a year literally gone in smoke. When you're about to make a big purchase, just wait 1 month to see if you still need to buy it. Sometimes it's just a bubble that passed through your head and you make a big purchase that you only use few weeks. In short, I could go on like this for a really long time, but just think about all the purchases you make and ask yourself if you really need it. There is probably several expenses that you make that may seem trivial when you take them one by one, but overall, when you accumulate them, and especially when you repeat them over and over again, at the end of the years, it adds up, and it's just a lot of money you're wasting. Number 5, make a sheet of your income versus your expenses. In fact, you're lucky. I already made one for you. You can get it with the links in the descriptions. You just have to fill it out. It's a great tool to quickly see if you live beyond your budget. Enter each of your income pillars and compare it with your monthly expenses. You will see if you spend more than you earn. It's easy to see if you're spending too much or if you have money left to save. And in your budget, make sure to add an amount to put aside. That what brings us to the next point, and it's one of the most important. Number 6, pay yourself first. The best way to put money aside is to schedule an automatic transfer from your main account to any investment portfolio, or at least a saving account. We will see this in more detail in a future video. For today, let's say that we are just sending money to a high interest saving account. But what is very important is that it's automated. Schedule an automatic transfer of a certain amount each time your paychecks comes in. That way, you don't even realize that you have that money. It instantly goes to an account that you deny yourself the access because it's entirely dedicated to make investment. If you don't have any spare money to do that yet, at least start by trying to slip $10 a week in there. It's not much, but at the end of the year, you will already have around $550 saved. Now you're going to tell me
520 maybe? It's 52 weeks.
But no, that's the whole point of investment. Your money will work for you. It generates interest and its value increase day after day after day. And that is just with $10 a week. Imagine if you increase that amount to $100 a week. And I'm telling you, if you program it to be an automated weekly transfer, you won't miss it. You won't feel like you're losing it because you never had it available in your account. In general, earning more money doesn't make you richer. It just makes you want to live at a higher lifestyle that costs you more. The next time you have a salary increase, don't change anything to your lifestyle. Invest your new income. There is a lot of way to make your money works for you, and we'll see that in a future video. But if you can at least put it in a high interest saving account, that's a very good start. If you are in Canada, there is Tangerine and Wealthsimple, which have interesting offers sometime. I personally use both services. You can use my links in the description to open an account, and we could both be rewarded. Another important thing is to educate yourself at least a little about taxation or taxes. I'll go into this in much more detail in a future video, but there are plenty of benefits of learning more about it. You can legally take decisions that can make you pay less tax and perhaps even benefits from certain tax credit. In Canada, it is very important to understand the benefits between TFSA, RRSP, and FHSA. Again, we will see that in a future video, but in the meantime, you can see your financial advisor at your financial institution to ask for advice. Or you can talk to your accountant who takes care of your taxes. If you don't have anyone who do this, maybe it's time to hire someone who do it. Usually, it costs something, but if you hire a good one, he can save you more money than he cost you. And don't just let him do all the works. Be curious and ask questions. I also often hear that there are some employers who offer to increase the contribution you make to a common fund if you participate. That is to say that if, for example, you put $50 a week in their investment fund, they will add up $25 for you. But if you don't put anything, well, they won't either. And lots of people skip that chance. But why? If he just give you a little $25 a week, you're spending on $1,300 a year in addition to the interest, in addition to the tax deduction that you could have had this year. It's literally free money. There is no good reason for not taking it. Number 8. Make yourself a cushion. That is a super important point. Do you remember at the beginning I told you that you should never use or borrow money you don't have? And after that, I told you that you weren't rich enough to afford cheap product. So how are you going to afford that $500 pair of boots that you're going to keep for 10 years instead of that $80 junk that you will change next winter? Well, it's by making you a financial cushion. If you put money aside, you don't need to borrow it. You will already have the money. And how much should you have saved? Well, a little earlier I told you to make a sheet of your expense versus your income. Well, it would be good if you had money to survive for a few months if you ever lose all your source of incomes. So it really depends on your pace of life. My cushion is $10,000. If I go below that, I limit my spending as much as possible. If I go up to $15,000, that means that things are going well. I can treat myself. But it also means that I'm going to increase the amount that I send into my investment each week. Oh no, I'm not going to start to spending more just because I can. Which brings us to the last point. Number 9. What is the point of investing? Again, we will see that in much more detail in a future video. But I can understand the question mark on your face.
What is the point of putting money aside to enjoy it later when you can enjoy it now?
There are several ways to see it. If you just put aside $1,000, assuming you can grow it at a 9% rate for 30 years, well, you will eventually end up with a little over $10,000 in your pocket. If you just put aside $1,000 per year for 30 years, you can end up with $149,000. It's quite impressive, isn't it? But my strategy is that the money that I put aside, I'm going to die with it. It sounds stupid, isn't it? But the goal of this money is to become one of my pillar of income. That means that one day I will stop investing in it, and as I told you a little earlier, your money works for you. So rather than withdrawing it, I will be able to take advantage of its income each month and live on it. It will somehow become a kind of salary. If we come back to that $1,000 per year for 30 years, just that can generate annual revenue of $13,000 for you without having to do anything. Imagine if you put $200 aside every week for 8 years. If all goes well, you could have a wallet that generates the same amount every week. If you do it for 30 years, you could end up with $139,000 a year doing nothing. And the best in this is that a huge part of this could be sheltered from tax because you will invest it in a TFSA, at least if you're in Canada. And since TFSA is invisible to tax authorities, it will be as if you were poor and you will be entitled to tax credits for low-income people. And the best part is that it's all legal. There is no shame in seeing that in front of the government. They are the one who set this up. You just need to have the intelligence to use it. Of course, all of this is on risky market, calculating that you could make 9% annually, which is still realistic when you look at the annual average of the S&P 500, which is around 10% since its creation in 1957. But hey, I know that's a lot for today. That's why I'm going to stop there. So, in summary, your first duty is to repay your high interest rate debt. Then start building up a cushion, putting money aside every week. The more money you are able to put aside, the better. I've shown you a lot of ways to save money by reducing your expenses. Now it's your turn to take actions. But I understand that you might be in a situation where it's practically impossible to find money to put aside. But if you could just start with a little $10 every week, that would be it. There is no too small amount to start. So work on that. Do not hesitate to ask questions. The comment section is here for that. And I'll see you again very soon to talk about interest. That's what we will demystify in the next video. How it works, how it generates income, and how it makes you poor. So, take care, and I'll see you soon in the next video. See ya!